guys, stitching May or making here on like my 5th attempt. I still get so nervous with starting a video. Usually about 4 minutes into the video, I'm to my relaxed self and it just flows. But the beginning of the video is always the hardest part of the video. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm back with my weekly update. I do have some progress to show you. Actually, a pretty good bit considering that there were a while that I was barely getting 200 stitches a week. Nothing's really changed in life. We haven't been sick. We've had just a normal run-of-the-mill school, homework, home, bed week. We did go to get our new lenses. We all three had to get new lenses. We didn't get new frames this year, but that's a whole other story. I got to stitch for 2 days with Connie or Connie G Stitches. And that's pretty much it. Now here I am to do my video. Gonna hang out with my sister some and stitch some more after the video. So, at the end of last week, I was wrapping up my Magical Stitches homework. We were doing our owls. We had to stitch on 7 core projects or classes, 100 stitches at least. After we finished the core classes, we could then work on 3 electives or bonus points. I got to do all 7 cores, and then I did my 3 bonuses. I think all that I had left was charms and history for my cores, and then I had to do my 3 electives. So with that said, let me show you first what I worked on for charms. My basket. That's all. I worked on my curly locks. Do I not have what the pattern's going to look like? I finally lost what the pattern's going to look like. I'll insert that here. And this is a pattern by Silver Creek Samplings. I've shown this plenty of times before, so you probably know what it's gonna look like. This is where I was before I finished this week's homework. We actually played some rook too. My sister and my brother came over and we played some rook. So I stitched on this as we played rook. Kind of in between hands while somebody was shuffling. This is where I was before. And this is where I am now. As you can see, I worked on some of the lettering right here. Just the NCE and was a. So I finished the word once. I got was a. The only thing that is left for this is this top line of words. And then the border. And I will be done with this project, guys. So this one could possibly be a finish. Hopefully this year. And in this pattern, it's already spoken for. Somebody wants it. It's kind of hard to get. I don't know that it's out of print per se, but it's kind of hard to find. And this is in one of my Momly bags. This was the Stitching May bag. Next, I think I did charms first and then did history, but that doesn't really matter. I also worked on charms. I did that one for history because of the words and you have to read history. This again is another Momly bag. Look at this. These little flowers are amazing. And this is Good Intentions by Kathy Barrett. This is what it will look like when it's finished. The reason I chose this project is because I said that she was charming the bobbins to bobbinate themselves, because who has time to bobbinate? We want to stitch, right? Especially when we have so much homework to do. So I worked on this green bobbin. This is stitched for in the DMC colors. It's the she has the, it calls for MPI silks, but I don't do MPI silks because they're solids. That's just me. So I did a DMC instead. And that's where I got to. And this is on a piece of fabric. Oh, what is the name of this one? I know the name. This was sent to me by Belinda, the chart and the fabric. And I don't remember what, sand? Maybe? Sand dune? 32 count sand dune? Not even close. Oh, look at that. It's right here on this piece of paper. 32 count vintage Sahara Belfast linen. So Belinda sent this to me. I used the fabric in the chart that she sent, and then I just used my own DMC. So I was able to then work on my Rosewood Manor, which I showed you the new start last week. Guys, this piece was so hard to put down. I was so afraid to pick up a Rosewood Manor, and now that I picked it up, I like want to make it excuse me, work for every homework that I can make it work for. So this is the Autumn Quakers. This is a stitch along Rosewood Manor Sow with the Sunshine Stitchers. Still can't say that word. This is where I was before I got more progress done. Because I worked on this. We started this on the 15th. Yes, the 15th. And I worked on it some this week. And I actually worked a unit that I was able to kind of have a break. A couple breaks. And I was able to stitch at work some. So I got some done on this at work. I also worked on the test stitch by Stitch Slit that I cannot show you. I got a pretty good amount of progress done on that. But this is where I am now. Guys, I cannot tell you how much I am loving stitching on this. I will say it took a little while to get used to the Valdani, the 3 strands, not piercing, because I railroad. So when I go back down with my 2 strands, I go through the 2 strands to try to make my floss lay neater. But you can't do that with this because you use all 3 strands as one piece of floss and you don't unskein it. So if you go down through it, you end up with a crazy knot. And it took a little while to get used to not doing that. I've got the hang of it now though. But there that is. That's my progress. And I can't wait to work on this more. I've got to work it into all my homework somehow. If you want to do a Rosewood Manor and you're afraid of it, just do it. I was afraid. I was intimidated by it. I was intimidated by the threads. And now I want to do them all. I finally took my floss out of the box and put it in these floss away bags. I put them in alphabetical numerical order. Because these are like P1, P5, P6. And then, well, that goes on. And then it goes on around. But they've got like O and a number, M and a number. And then I've got them on one of the little key rings that Diana made everybody get. That barely fits in my bag. I have to kind of organize it in there. Okay. And then that was everything that I worked on for the previous week. So I worked on 4 projects after my video. Because I worked on, that night I worked on the history one and then the charms one. Then I worked more on Rosewood Manor at work some. And then I worked on the donuts some before and after work. So, this week we had 3 things on our homework. One was we had to stitch on our 11th whip, which mine is Lady of the Flag, so I worked on that. The next one was to stitch on anything not pink because thank goodness umbrage is gone. And the third thing was to, for bonus points, to stitch on something that had to do with the Weasley twins swamp prank on the 5th floor. So, that's what I worked on. Guys, I finally finished Order of the Phoenix. That was not my favorite book the first time I read it. And it still wasn't my favorite book. Umbridge drove me crazy the entire time. And I'm listening to the audiobook. And Stephen Fry, I think that's who does the narration. His impersonation of Umbridge with her little clearing of the throat was... I wanted to like throw the book by the end of it. But I don't know. Of course, I don't like that Sirius, you know, I don't want to do spoilers. I'm just going to go with it. I don't like what happened with Sirius. Of course, I don't like what happened, but I don't like how it happened either. So anyway, I got in 300 stitches. Yes, 300 stitches on my Lady of the Flag. I forgot to say when I would show this, but I'll put it in. As you can see, I worked on this green. I was trying to get up to the actual flag. I wanted to work on the flag. So I worked on this green here. I got part of the little circle of the dress here and then came around with this tail on up. This is on the 32 count primitive hair We the People fabric. This was a restart. Just because I didn't feel like I had enough border on the other fabric. This one has got enough border, plus it's got some printed border on it too. Now I'm making progress on it. I'm really excited. I finally, I was kind of worried about the beads. I'm doing the kind of a mixture of the conversion that Diana gave me and then the one on the teal conversion on the Lady of the Flag Mirabilia group. And I finally found, I could find the colors that they use for the beads, but I couldn't find which color they used for what bead, if that makes sense. Like they had the colors listed, but not which ones they subbed out. I was finally able to talk to someone that's completed it. They told me where they, where and how they subbed, and I'm really, really excited now. I'm ready to get to the beading and everything. And this is in my Garon toten bags, my Mickey Mouse bag, and I use this one because it's big enough to hold all the threads in it, and then the beads when I get them, now that I know what beads I need. So the next thing I worked on was Not Pink for Professor Umbridge. I always have a needle laying somewhere. This was in Rosewood Manor, and I have to say this was the Valdani, so always have a needle just laying randomly somewhere. So for my Not Pink, I was able to work on Anne of Green Gables. This is what she'll look like when she's finished. This is a sal that I have going on with Connie. I am dragging Connie along because earthquake. Sorry, I will stop eventually crossing my legs. The doctors all the time at work get on me for crossing my legs. She's dragging me along, I guess I should say, because I just get so distracted on this piece and she's having to wait on me to finish it because we want to kind of finish it about the same time. Obviously not at the exact same moment, but you know. Because she knows if she finishes it, it's going to be like my Merry Christmas one that is just kind of languishing over there in the whatever pile. So, I decided to work on this for Not Pink, and surprisingly enough, there was 300 stitches left of Not Pink, even though there's a lot of pink on this chart. I never realized how much there was until I started looking for the Not Pink. This is where I was before. I'm really excited about my progress because I got in 300 stitches for the Not Pink for Professor Umbridge. I worked on Marilla here. And then after that, including, Cheryl's released her challenges today. And one of her challenges was to stitch, it's the camping week. So one of her challenges was to stitch on something that had something you would eat for breakfast. So this right here block is going to be jam and toast, and this is hot tea. There's also cake, and I'm not going to lie, I've had cake for breakfast before. And then who knows what's in this bowl or kettle that Marilla's cooking. It could be oatmeal or porridge. So I stitched, I think it was like 250 stitches in this for the magical stitches, and then I got the prompt for Cheryl's group, so I stitched another, so like 386 stitches on this one, or no, 286 plus another 100, yeah, 386 total, to where I had enough for the Cheryl's group, the 100 stitches in Cheryl's group, and then the 300 stitches in magical stitches, because they can overlap. It's just that I had already started this before I saw Cheryl's prompt. So all I have to do on her is finish out Marilla and do the back stitch this one, and do the jam and finish out this block. And then I'll be ready to finish with Miss Connie. I call her Miss Connie a lot because of my son, because that's what my son calls her. And then I end up calling her Miss Connie, and then it's kind of awkward. The next thing I've been working on, I'm not finished with it yet. I had to stitch the 300, no, for a bonus it was 400 stitches on something that had to do with Fred and George Weasley's prank swamp on the 5th floor. So I chose my upside down green damsel because, as you know, you may not know, dragonflies are actually live in water at first, and then they come out of the water and they molt and then turn into the flying bugs we know them as. They're often around lakes and ponds and swamps. So this also worked for Cheryl's camping group because, or camping week, because you were supposed to stitch on something with an insect. Well, there's an insect, so 100 stitches for that. Something we saw on the trip, 100 stitches for that. And then I'm going to use it for the chocolate, for the s'mores. I think that's it that I'm using it for. Something we saw, the insect, and s'mores. I think that's it. This is where I was before. I did not have very much done. I'm not at the 300 stitch mark yet, so it's still on my frame so that I can stitch it. This is where I am now. I stitched the green through this first dragonfly. And the green here. And I did the green at first because I wanted to save the brown for the chocolate for the camping one. This is stitched on 36 count Oaken by Picture This Plus. And this is stitched in 2 coloring cottons and 1 Victorian motto. The Victorian motto is orange maize. The brown is black walnut. And the green, I think, is pine needles. I don't know. I don't remember what the green one is. By Coloring Cotton. If I can remember the name, I'll insert the name in. This needle minder is actually one that I found at Hobby Lobby in a set. It had this and it had a skein of floss, and then I want to say a bobbin. But it says, stitching is a lifestyle, and that is very true. My husband can attest to that. He was feeling his oats today. He was giving me a hard time in front of Connie. Connie was rolling laughing at him today. He was misbehaving. And then that is it for my cross stitch. I did forget to show one thing last week. Another gift. I got this needle minder from Kelly, my roommate. It's part of the roommate gift / birthday gift. She got it for before and then couldn't find it. Couldn't locate it and then remembered where it was. See, there's that. But it is a steampunk dragonfly. Look how pretty that is. Look at those colors. And this magnet is so strong that it's fitting through this board. I think it's time for me to get a new white card. What do you guys think? I mean, it's dented and bent. And probably time for a new one. And then the haul. So, in true Megan fashion, I fell in love with pattern. I fall in love with patterns once they're out of print. They have decided in virtual that they're going to do a sale next year. I was not part of the decision or conversation, which is perfectly fine with me. But because I have FOMO, I'm going to jump in on it. And pretty sure I am. And that's to start the year at Hawker and Hollow. Because there are 12 patterns, we'll do 1 pattern a month. We'll see. I'm not 100% on board yet, but I'm considering the ticket prices. Anyway, in that, while I was looking for that chart, trying to find it where it was the cheapest, I then realized that one of the charts in a series that I wanted was becoming hard to find. As you guys know, I stitched Eleanor Rigby by Blackbird Designs as part of the Magical Mystery Tour. So my aunt, my wonderful aunt, was a big Beatles fan. And she forced us to listen to Beatles. And my sister and I always joked and pretended that we hated listening to them and that she was making us listen to them. You know, we enjoyed it because she enjoyed it. So now the Beatles are important to me because of that. Not to mention it's the Beatles. So anyway, I wanted to stitch all of the Magical Mystery Tour designs. Lo and behold, they were going apparently out of print. I don't know, they're possibly going out of print. It was harder to find them. But then again, I've read somewhere else that they're possibly reprinting them. Anyway, I wanted to get my hands on them. So I searched and searched and searched. And I have in my hands all but one. There's one that should be on its way. That one was a problem to get. I do have the Long and Winding Road. Guys, this is amazing. I have the Yellow Submarine. I have Blackbird. Which I love this song. I will sing this song the entire time that I stitch. That lyric, take these broken wings and learn to fly. And then Strawberry Fields Forever. So the one that I've had the problem getting is the Octopus Garden, which probably isn't my favorite one anyway in that design, in the series. And I don't really remember listening to that song. We definitely listened to Blackbird and Yellow Submarine. Anyway, I could not find it anywhere in the you know 1 2 3 stitch or the shops that I knew about. I found one chart overseas in a store that I'm not going to name because I don't like being ugly about stores or being negative about stores, because it could just be my experience. I ordered from them. I got a confirmation order, and then I got a thing saying it would take 6 to 8 weeks, which makes me wonder if it's not out of print and they're trying to get it from their vendor. I messaged asking and got 0 response. I messaged them 3 to 4 times trying to figure out what was going on. Now this has been, I was looking for these charts for like 2 weeks now, like since before my last video. I just didn't mention it in my last video because I wanted to get them off my hot little hands before there was a craziness in case they were completely out of print. Then I started looking up reviews, and I'm not the only one that had similar. There's a lady that's actually been waiting for 2 years for her stuff. So then I was like, great. So I filed a dispute, gonna see if I can get my money back. If not, it's a lesson learned. It was one chart. I've learned my lesson. Still couldn't find the chart. Then I was calling stores. I called, it was late here, so I started calling on the West Coast to see, like Oregon and California, to see if any of the shops there had them in their stock. Everybody I talked to was so polite. I talked to a lady in Oregon, Uniquely Yours. I'll spell that somewhere to where, because it's not spelled how you think it is. She was actually calling a vendor for me to see if she could get it, because her vendor said they had it, but she wasn't sure. And she didn't want to take my money until she was sure she could get it in her hands. So I did that, and then the next day I was waiting for her return call, and Bush Mountain Stitchery on Facebook actually posted that there was a reprint of that one. And that's where I don't know if they're reprinting all of them or just that one. But anyway, there's a reprint. I called the shop, made sure she didn't have it, and she hadn't heard back from her vendor yet. She said, no, please get the one you know you can get. So I pleased it on through Bush Mountain Stitchery, and it should be on its way. So either way, they're out of print or not, I have mine, and I'm very excited because I want to stitch them all and have them in my house in various places. That was a really, really long story about haul. But that's it for haul this week, which is a lot because that's 4 patterns with the 5th one on the way. And I was good. The 5th one, I only got the 1 pattern because I figured these were kind of, that one was just on the late bus. So these traveled with it. They were just, you know, it was kind of behind. But that's it for this video, guys. As always, I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate you watching my videos, taking the time, because there are so many people out there. You could watch anybody, and you guys take the time to watch me, and that means a lot. So thank you for that. Thank you for your comments. As always, take care, and happy stitching.